All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy McLaughlin, and it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to the second virtual symposium on information and technology in the arts and humanities. Once again this year, our symposium is hosted by the Association for Information Science and Technology, Special Interest Group for Arts and Humanities, SIG-AH, and the Special Interest Group for Visualization, Images, and Sound, SIG-VIS. Our theme for this year is Connecting the Arts and Humanities Through Technology, Data, Images, and Sound. My co-host and moderator is Dr. Christina Matusiak from the University of Denver and representing SIG-VIS. Putting together a virtual event like this can be quite a challenge. And we had some scheduling changes over the last month or so. So I first just wanted to thank everyone who stayed with us throughout the process and who's joined us this year, and all the folks who interacted with us on social media and the folks who RSVP'd. You can see here a map of the world and where we received some specific interest and where our speakers are coming from. You can see we've got over 30 institutions in North America, England, Scotland, South Africa, India, Australia, and New Zealand. So we got almost all of the continents covered there. And when we focus in on the United States, again, just looking at North America really, I'm just really excited about the interest that we received again this year, given that this is a virtual event and the second time we've hosted something like this. So thank you all again. I, again, also just want to thank our speakers, the fantastic people you see on the slides here, who were very flexible and, again, stuck with us throughout the scheduling changes. They've put together some great presentations for you today, and these folks will also be joined by two student speakers that Christina will tell you more about in just one moment. I specifically want to also thank the ASIS&T student chapter from San Jose State University. There's some hidden costs associated with hosting an event like this, and because SJSU ASIS&T allows us to use their Collaborate room, we get to sort of defer some of those costs. So I really appreciate that they allow us to do that again this year. So please check out their website and especially their event archives. There's some really fantastic content there. And again, thank you to SJSU ASIS&T. This is our second virtual event. And again, this year we will be putting all of the event materials available in a proceedings-like way on Figshare and on YouTube. The symposium last year was a two-day event with a much broader scope and theme, and we had presentations from the Digital Public Library of America, the National Endowment for the Humanities, Altmetrics in the Humanities, and a data visualization paper on Bob Ross. So large scope of content and some great things available. You can see here the proceedings from last year with the slides on Figshare on the left that have garnered over 1,050 views and 189 downloads. On the right, you'll see the YouTube channel for SIG-AH, where our recordings have received 765 views over the last year. So we're really excited that our content is of interest to folks like yourselves. And even if you can't attend all the sessions today, or if you have folks that you think might be interested in sessions, please do check out the proceedings, and we'll make sure that all of the attendees and social media and everyone in the world will know when those are made available. Last year's theme, What Do Information and Technology Mean to the Arts and Humanities, was broad and open and really fell into the domain of SIG-AH. Within SIG-AH, we focus on the application of humanities and computing principles to information science, and the application of humanities principles to computing and information science, and vice versa, the application of information science and computing principles to research related to and research by humanists. We've been quite active in the last year or so, and we're proud to win the ASIS SIG of the Year Award in 2015. And much of this comes from our natural cross-disciplinary collaboration with other groups around ASIS&T. And specifically, I'm thrilled to be working again this year with SIG-VIS and Dr. Matusiak. And so now I'd like to invite Christina to introduce SIG-VIS and the Student Research Paper Contest. Christina.
Thank you, Jeremy. Again, my name is Christina Matusiak, and I'm a faculty in the Library Information Science program at the University of Denver. Image indexing and use of visual image collections are really at the center of my research interest. So you can probably understand where that theme for this year for student papers is coming from. I've been involved with SIGVIZ for several years and been a chair of the group for the last 2 years. So just a few words about the group for those of you who are not familiar with ASIS special interest groups in visualization, image, and sound. So it is a group that gathers researchers and practitioners interested in discussing and exploring information resources basically in non-textual modes. So such information includes still images, moving image, both film-based and video, but also other types of visual representations, including geographic attributes and virtual representations of visual world. Researchers primarily focus on information organization, description, indexing, social tagging, as well as information-seeking behaviors and use of visual resources. A growing area of interest is also information visualization. And last year at the ASIS annual meeting in St. Louis, we sponsored a workshop on information visualization. We are proposing a new workshop actually for the upcoming annual in Copenhagen on visual research methods, which again, this is in our discipline is a new area of interest to researchers, using visual information primarily as evidence. And then in addition to research, of course, there is a field of practice where obviously indexing and new ways of actually indexing and providing access to visual information is really a growing area of interest. So this is just, what the interests of the group are. And then along with that, we proposed the theme for a student paper competition on image, basically indexing and retrieval of non-textual resources, which I think is really challenging because it is a vibrant research area, but it takes, I think, for students to get into those areas a little bit, I think, a little bit more time. The student paper competition is actually the second one that we are running in collaboration with SIG-AH. As Jeremy mentioned, last year we had a much broader topic focused really on information technology and arts and humanities, and this year we shifted to image indexing, and we invited submissions from both master's and PhD students, and those papers were reviewed, and we'll have 2 student speakers today. So that's what I have at this point. I want to welcome all the participants and speakers, and looking forward to the discussions today. Jeremy, see you.
Great, thanks, Christina. And yeah, we're very happy to be providing this event again this year, and certainly if you are currently a member of ASIS&T, please check out the website link there at the bottom and become a member of SIG-AH and SIG-Viz. As of last year, you can join as many SIGs as you want for free. So if you are currently a member and not a member of our SIGs, please join. If you're not a member of ASIS&T, please join ASIS&T and at the same time join our SIGs as well. We would both appreciate it. And we'll certainly be hearing more from Christina later on with the Student Research Paper Awards. To help kick off the symposium, I'm happy to introduce Diane Pennington. Diane is a lecturer and assistant professor in information science at the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow. She earned her MS and PhD in information science from the University of North Texas, was assistant professor at the University of Western Ontario, and has published more than 40 works and delivered over 80 presentations in the overlapping areas of information organization, social media, non-text information indexing and retrieval, and digital consumer health information. She's very active within ASIS&T and is running for the ASIS&T chair-elect this year. So we're very pleased to have Diane with us this morning, and I've had the pleasure of working with her over a few things over the last few years, and I'm delighted that she accepted our invitation. So with that, I'll turn it over to Diane to open the symposium.
Thanks. Thanks for that great introduction, Jeremy and Christina. First of all, I just want to thank the both of you for putting this together again for the second year. I really think it's a great initiative for the SIGs and the chapters and anyone else who can to really work toward more virtual events, because one of the things that I keep hearing in my work for ASIS these days is that a lot of us can't travel, can't do things from places other than our offices just because of budgets and time restrictions and all of those things that we all deal with. So I really think this is a great thing. And for people who can't join us at this time that it's recorded, thanks again for doing all this. I know it's a lot of work. With that all said, I just want to reiterate as well the importance of ASIS if you're not an ASIS member. And as Jeremy said, I'm running for president-elect this year of ASIS, which is an incredible honor for me, even if I don't get elected, which I certainly hope I do. But if I don't, just the fact that I am running and have been nominated for president is just incredible to me. And just so that you know how easy it is to get involved in ASIS and become a leader, I first became involved in ASIS when I was a doctoral student, and my first position in ASIS was the chair of SIG-Viz. And I chaired SIG-Viz, or co-chaired it, for about 5 years, 6 years or so, something like that. During that time, I got to know a lot of people, had a lot of opportunities, served on panels, organized panels, got other positions, eventually became an elected director at large on the ASIS board in 2011. And now they want me to come back to the board, apparently, to possibly become president. So for those of you listening to this and are considering whether ASIS is the place for you, I was certainly not expecting that ASIS could open such amazing professional and personal development for me, just in terms of developing my network, finding research collaborations, and finding friends and relationships that I'm sure will last for years beyond today. And all of this because I got encouraged to join by Sam Hastings, who is also a former member of, or former president of ASIS, actually, and also one of the first members of SIG-Viz. So clearly we have a lot of leadership potential in SIG-Viz, and I hope to see that continue. So in terms of today's topic, which is non-text information and information technology in the humanities, I know it might seem like a lot. I know it might seem like we're putting a lot of things together, but I want to explain why it actually makes a lot of sense, just from an intellectual, from a research point of view. I started working in non-text information and image retrieval, which was when I was a master's student, and I've been working in it ever since. And non-text information online, in a technological sense, is one of our biggest challenges in information science, and that is because the amount of video, the amount of images, the amount of all of these things that are continuously being shared and created and uploaded by everybody who participates on the internet just continues to increase. If you think about YouTube, which is one of the most popular sites on the web, and you think about all of the pictures that we all upload and share on Facebook every day, and Flickr, which is more for photographers, and it's a place where I've done a lot of my research, and just all of these places where we have pictures and videos and music and all these things are all considered non-text information. And non-text information, I admit, is a very strange term because we're defining what it is by saying what it is not. And I think it's a very limiting definition because that's typically semantically not a way to define something very well, but this area is still very new and it's all exploded so quickly in popularity that I don't think we know what to call it and I don't think we know what to do with it. But the problem is that it's everywhere. The other problem is that even though we've got text retrieval and indexing and description, if that is good as we can get it because Google can search the entire text of a document and index it and put it all together for us, you can't really do the same thing with a picture. So if you see a picture of somebody, and it might be somebody in your family, somebody that you go on holiday, you take photos, all these things that we do in our lives that we like to share with people, there's not really a good way to describe those things if there are no words attached to it. And the problem is that a word and a picture don't really translate to each other very well because they don't really encapsulate the entire meaning either way. So we can assign words to a picture and we can say, oh, that's a picture of my father, but that doesn't really describe everything very well. And it also, all we really have is sort of things like keywords that we assign to it or traditional bibliographic information if we think of the sense of a traditional library setting. So we have maybe the person who took the picture, possibly. We have a few subject keywords that we assign to it, things like that. But in terms of the kinds of things that we really look for, we don't do that very well. And this is our chance today to combine these areas of humanities because that's where the basis of these kinds of creations come from, is from the humanities. We're talking about visual art, we're talking about music, we're talking about film, things that are created that originate from the humanities, but that we're using IT as a platform nowadays to share these things so ubiquitously online. And we have this chance to put all these things together, and this is why I think it's really important. And if we talk about my line of research, which more specifically in the last few years has focused on emotions that exist in things, that's a whole other area that I think is really important that we're not working on very well. Because if we think about what kinds of pictures we look for, we think about what kind of music we want to listen to, we might want to see something that makes us feel better. So it's Monday morning, we're trying to get up and get to work or whatever we need to do, and we want to hear some music that's going to wake us up, cheer us up, and get us out of the house. Or it's Friday afternoon, we want to celebrate. Okay, let's hear some good music. So in terms of finding things with emotion, how we describe emotion, first of all, we don't even use subject access that well, but then when we talk about other dimensions of pieces of non-text information that might appeal to us in different ways, that's yet another thing that we don't do very well. So I have just recently published a study in the Journal of Documentation that just came out about emotion in music videos on YouTube, if you're interested in looking that up. So with all that, I really am excited about this theme. I think we've got some really exciting speakers lined up. I'm happy to see that students are presenting as well. I will unfortunately have to be in and out today. I will join as much as I can, but I'm actually in another city today. I had to go to another university for a meeting, so I'm actually presenting right now from the children's section of a bookstore, if you can believe it. So I will need to sign off here in just a minute to go catch my train, but if I can get Wi-Fi access on the train, I will join from there. But I hope everyone has a really productive meeting today and learned a lot. And please get in touch with me if you have any questions about ASIS or SIGVIZ or how to get involved in ASIS. I'd be happy to talk with any of you. So with that, have a good meeting, and I will be in touch if I can. And I hope to see you all in Copenhagen this year. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thank you, Diane. And I'll just echo Diane's point that getting involved with ASIS is very easy. And I have Diane and Christina and Marianne Harlan and several other folks to thank for that, but I've only been a member of ASIS for 2.5 years, and I've already had the experience of chairing a student chapter, chairing SIG-AH, and I'm chair-elect for SIGVIZ for next year. So it's very easy to get involved, and while difficult, it's also easy to pull together events like this in the sense that people are open to these kind of ideas and collaborative ventures. So please do join, and thank you again, Diane. So real quickly, I just wanted to go over the schedule. We'll start with Nikki Agate this morning, discussing some of the projects at MLA. Then we'll move on to Corey Tucker, who will take us into the world of linked data, before I turn it back over to Christina to moderate and introduce the student award-winning presentations. Next, Martin Calvino is going to share some of his experiences as a scientist-artist and his work with various types of data visualizations. And we'll wrap up with Catherine Walter from the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, who's going to frame the current and future scope of the digital humanities as a discipline. We'll close with an open Q&A and discussion of all topics. So if you have questions that we don't get to during a specific speaker, we'll come back to them at that time. And to Diane's point, this is a broad and interesting topic, and we're certainly only touching on a few key topics this morning. The schedule looks packed. I think some people will go a little overtime, some a little under, so it will all work itself out. And again, Q&A, we'll come back to all of that. We'll make sure all questions get answered at some point. Feel free to chat questions at any time, and also use Twitter. We're using the hashtag VisitAH, Virtual Symposium on Information and Technology in the Arts and Humanities. So hashtag VisitAH. We've also tweeted all the hashtag, or the Twitter handles for all of our presenters today. So go online, let us know if you have questions there, and feel free to take the mic as well. Because of all the recordings this year are going to be up on YouTube, I learned a valuable lesson last year, and this year, to help with conversion of the Collaborate recordings to MP4, I'm going to be doing a hard start and stop at the beginning and end of each presentation, and certainly the discussion can continue when we have to load additional slides for the next presentation. So the recordings may start and stop, but certainly the conversation can continue on. So with that, we've covered our introductions for this morning. Thank you all again for joining us. I am going to stop the recording briefly, and Nikki, if you are ready, we'll get started with you in just one moment. Thank you all again, and I look forward to a great session this morning.